Greetings and salutations out there, sports fans. Michael Shibley with you here for another edition of Yeas and Nays. This week, of course, we are talking about my beloved Tennessee Vols dropping to the number one ranked Georgia Bulldogs 41-17. Of course, for everything that we liked about what Tennessee did, we're going to give it a yay. And for everything we didn't like, we give it a nay. So let's dive right in. Of course, the first thing we have to talk about is the result. Tennessee dropping to Georgia 41-17. So always a loss is really a nay for Tennessee. It really, honestly, when you look at everything that happened in this game, this is the result that most people were expecting. The line was always about 3 touchdowns, and it ended up being the 24 points that it was, if I can do my math correctly. So when you look at all of that, that's really what we were all hoping. Yes, I wanted Tennessee to shock the world, and things really were looking up to start the game. A yay for Tennessee's opening drive that we've seemed to do a lot this season. We just marched right down the field, touchdown to Velus Jones Jr. Everybody is up, hyped, excited. What another great atmosphere. A yay for the atmosphere there in Neyland Stadium. Tennessee rocking the black uniforms. Again, it was just so much fun, and everybody had all that hope and dreams. We were ready to go. Then, of course, Georgia goes right down the field themselves, scores a touchdown to even it up. But Tennessee kicking a field goal, we had the lead 10-7 at the end of the first quarter. Everybody was feeling good. And then Georgia just did what Georgia has done to so many opponents, including Clemson and Florida. Everybody else that's been on their schedule so far, they just bludgeoned them just repeatedly. And of course, we get the final result, 41-17. Georgia, again, that defense, I have seen a lot of number one ranked teams and national championship winning teams come through Neyland Stadium in all my years as a fan. And this Georgia team, honestly, I got to give them a lot of credit. I give them a yay, especially for that defense. There was an old saying Herman Hickman used to say, it, a former Tennessee Vol, would always come out and say about General Neyland and his defense. If he could score a touchdown on you, he had you beat. If he could get 2 touchdowns on you, Neyland had you in a rout. And that almost feels like what Georgia has been able to do to so many teams this year. And Tennessee, honestly, had an above average performance against this Georgia defense. I got the stats right here. If you look, Georgia so far this season has been averaging only giving up 6 points a game on defense, giving up 230 total yards, 150 passing yards, and 13 first downs. Well, Tennessee got 17 points, which is more than any other team has scored so far this year against Georgia. 387 yards, 332 of those were through the air, 22 first downs. Tennessee also got into the red zone 5 times, which I think is more than any other team has so far this year. However, Tennessee was only able to convert on 3 of those scores, and that was part of the problem. Tennessee had to settle for a field goal there in the first quarter, and again, could not get the ball in the end zone until late in the game. Actually, when Milton came in as the backup quarterback, they got that last touchdown, which again, still more points than what Georgia has given up all season, but still not enough because of what's happened with Tennessee. A nay for Tennessee's defense. Again, still, we are making every quarterback, I'm going to keep saying it, we're making every quarterback, no matter if they're a running quarterback or not, look like Michael Vick, especially on third down. It's almost become a drinking game at this point, where you've got a third down scramble for a first down that opposing quarterback gets, you take a drink. Because it happens, it seems like clockwork every game this season. Stetson Bennett did perfectly fine at quarterback. You can argue, and I know some of my friends who are Georgia fans talk about they still really want JT Daniels there at quarterback, but Stetson Bennett did perfectly fine, at least this week, against a game Tennessee defensive unit. Again, really, Coach Heupel, and I know he knows this, or one would hope so, really needs to work that transfer portal and work the recruiting trail to get especially some inside linebackers, but mostly just linebacking help. You look at what great national championship contending teams have on their defense, including this Georgia Bulldogs team, and also, of course, teams like Alabama. They just continuously have fantastic linebackers. And Tennessee, yeah, they had To'oTo'o for a few seasons, but that was pretty much it when you talk about elite level linebackers. We've got solid ones, but you still see every week, you can't argue with the results, that they still need better linebacking units, and they can scheme all they want, and they've done a good job of hiding some of those weaknesses. Again, Tennessee, with a good record so far this season, really beyond their expectations, but they still have a long way to go if they want to get to that elite level where you see especially what Georgia and Alabama are. Also, a nay, really, this is the first time I'm giving it this week to Hendon Hooker. He had an okay day. You look at his stats, 244 yards, 24 of 37. He had that touchdown, but boy, that interception really is what turned the tide in a big way in the first half. Some of the decisions he made were not the most crisp decisions overall. Again, he wasn't terrible, I thought, by any means, but he just looked off. Really, when you look at the grand scheme of things, it was fine, but you don't need to be just fine if you're going to knock off the number one ranked team in the country at this moment. So we will kind of see where all that shapes up. You look forward to where Tennessee is. And again, you've got 2 games left. You've got South Alabama and you've got Vanderbilt. Tennessee is going to be heavily favored in both of those games. And when you look at Tennessee possibly finishing 7-5 and hopefully getting to show off truly in a good bowl game at the end of the season, that to me, again, still a great result that a lot of us weren't maybe expecting at the start of this season. So again, a nay for, again, the result of losing, but to me, and I said this in some of my other shows, and you can follow me again on Twitch where we live stream these games and we talk about it, this is pretty much what I thought was going to happen. I had the final score being 41-21. I wasn't that far off, really, when you look at it. So, again, things to work on to get Tennessee to that elite level. I still love the atmosphere that we had. Boy, it was great. I don't know why they decided to have the homecoming game. That's a nay on the athletic director's part for deciding to have Georgia be your homecoming opponent. I thought it was South Alabama next week, but it wasn't, which was kind of weird. But it was so awesome to have some of the great ambassadors that Tennessee has had throughout the athletic history of the program. I mean, you had Peyton Manning, of course, was on campus. You had Candace Parker. You can't ask for two better than that. Throw in there Monica Abbott. Was just wonderful to see her back on campus. And, of course, the great baseball player and former quarterback, actually the one who was the quarterback before Peyton Manning, Todd Helton. It was great to have all of them back here on Rocky Top. And, again, I hope we have this atmosphere going forward. I hope it all just builds momentum to even better seasons than the one we are having in the future with Heupel at the helm. That's going to wrap up this week's episode of Yays and Nays. I want to know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below, and please give us a subscription. I would love to hang out with you guys more. Love to hear what you guys think in the comments. I always love that feedback. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter, Michael_Shibley. And like I said, over on Twitch, we do live streams of this game. Also playing a lot of great video games with my lovely wife, Mrs. Shibbles. So head over to Twitch, also under Shibbles and Bits, where you can check us out there. Until next week, as the Vols take on the Jaguars of South Alabama. Too sweet. Go Vols. Love you guys. See you next time.